Let's get into our news of the week. We have basically the whole show is going to be a lot of news today. We're going to have news on pretty much all four segments. So the first news of the week is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. It is operated by Holly Schneiderwin and her team of mortgage broker experts. And mortgage broker is the key word. These are not bankers. They're mortgage brokers, which means they shop the market at Eagle Mortgage to find the best lending solution for you. So you're thinking about getting a new house. Doesn't matter whether you're going to go conventional, FHA, VA. They also do some specialty loans. They match you with the best bank that they can find for you. They sit down with you, explain the process. And then, of course, now that we're getting into house buying season, now that we're in the second half of February, thank God, a lot of people are starting to look at houses, and you want to get that pre-approval letter from Eagle Mortgage. It's like having a sword and a shield when you go into the home buying competition process. All right, well, without any further ado, let's get into it. The first news item, Trenton, has to do with Eppley Airfield. Come Monday, February 17th, the entire central portion of the terminal will be closed for quite a period of time, including level 2, which is currently open. So basically, the terminal is split in half. And the reason for this is the middle part's all got to go because it's going to be rebuilt as the central pavilion. When that central pavilion opens in a year or two, it will contain the combined TSA security checkpoint, as well as what's going to be kind of like a miniature shopping mall food court area where they'll have, Starbucks and all sorts of retailers and all that sort of thing. So this is basically a price to progress. But just so people understand, Trenton, you've got to know which one of the two terminals your airline is in. So if you're flying on Southwest, United, or Allegiant, go to the North Terminal. If you're flying on American, Delta, Alaska, or Frontier Airlines, go to the South. Once you're in the terminal, you won't be able to cross over.
I've got a great way for people to remember that.
How?
USA, United, Southwest, and Allegiant.
Good.
Is on the north side.
On the north.
And American, Delta, what else we got over there?
Alaska and Frontier, so you don't even remember.
Yeah.
No, but the whole reason you're saying this is to help people remember.
Yeah, good point.
But your USA one for the north is great, but you got to work on your south terminal.
Yeah, and you got to know that Allegiant is north, and it's not Alaska.
That's true, yeah. But other than that, I think your little trick for remembering that is great.
Yeah. Or if you fly Southwest and United a lot, just remember us.
There you go. This is a price of progress, though, like I say. So as you're going there, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. There's no doubt about that. But just remember, this is the price of progress. It's going to be awesome. The whole full-blown expansion and modernization won't be done till 2028. But it's my understanding we'll be using parts of the new terminal as early as 2026. So bear with it. It's going to be awesome when it's done. It's going to be a little tricky while it's underway.
And I think they've done a good job with signage and wayfinding and dropping people off, as well as picking people up.
Another thing they've been good at is the speed of the project so far. They are moving fast, and they're doing this while keeping open an airport that runs 5.5 million passengers a year through it. It's pretty impressive. You got to give the airport authority and their contractors a lot of credit for the job that they're doing. Well, demolition is now underway on the old Park Fair Mall at 16th and Douglas Street. And if you don't know what the Park Fair Mall is, or you're thinking to yourself, I've never heard of this Park Fair Mall.
It was never successful.
Well, I was just going to say it means you're young. But if you're about 40 or above, you probably have an idea what the Park Fair Mall was. It was actually an enclosed shopping mall that for a short period of time had all of the name brand retailers of the day back in the 1980s.
Name one or two.
Whatever the retailers were of the day back in the 1980s. I don't remember what they were, but they didn't have it was never anchored.
We were in junior high and high school then.
Correct. It was never anchored, though. It was always just like if you compare it to the Westroads, it would be like a bunch of shops in the middle, not the anchors on the end. But it was when it first opened, the occupancy, if I remember correctly, was pretty close to full. But toward the end, I think the only thing that was open was a Runza in the basement food court and a Walgreens on the other side. And then they turned it into indoor parking for many, many years. And it was really a very inefficient indoor parking space because it was an old mall. You could only put so many cars in it. But now it's coming down, being torn down. In its place will be a 10 to 12 story building. I say 10 to 12 because if you're on the south side of that block, it'll look like 10. If you're on the north side, it'll look like 12 because of a grade change. The bottom 7 levels will be a City of Omaha-owned parking garage. The top 5 levels will be apartment units, 150 of them in total, and they will be part of the overall Duo, which is a 700 apartment unit, which includes the Twin Towers attached to it toward the east. So it's all part of the Duo, but you got to get rid of this Park Fair Mall in order to build this 10 to 12 story building.
It'll be interesting to see what the views are at those apartments.
Probably not a ton of them because to the east, you'll have the taller Twin Towers.
Exactly.
To the west, you've got the Brandeis building, the historic New York Life building that's now occupied by Kutak Rock, and then just beyond that, the Woodman Tower. So you'll be able to see some, but it's not like you're going to see.
You'll feel like you're in the city.
Yeah, it'll be a very urban view, not sweeping vistas. But if you're in the Twin Towers, some of the views there will be sweeping. Unless you're an east face, you'll be right up against the Mutual of Omaha Tower. But like you say, it'll be an urban feel. If you're going for that urban look, you'll have that. All right, next up, we have topping out taking place. Topping out is when the final steel beam is installed on a building, whether it be an office building, a hospital or something like that. Well, topping out took place recently at the University of Nebraska Medical Center's CORE building. That stands for Campus Operations and Research Excellence, CORE building. And this is a $105 million project on the southwest corner of Farnham Street and Saddle Creek Road. It is part of the Edge District, 30 acres, UNMC's new 30-acre west campus west of Saddle Creek Road. This core building will open in mid-2026, 6 stories. It's looking great. I've been told, Trenton, that we can expect to hear more announcements about projects on UNMC's Edge District campus very soon.
We love that. We're going to stop covering any project that's less than $100 million on this show.
You know what? We could cover only $100 million projects, and we would have stuff to talk about every week.
Right, but we're not going to do that.
No, we talk about little projects because some little projects actually have an outsized impact on the city and on the built environment.
No question about it.
All right, and finally, developers are planning a mixed-use subdivision southwest of 192nd and West Maple Road. The planning board approved a preliminary plat that would divide what is currently an undeveloped greenfield site into 12 lots for commercial development and then 20 acres for multifamily development. And so if you're trying to picture, all right, 192nd and West Maple Road, if you're there, on the southeast corner is a Holiday Inn and a nice retail area. This would be the southwest corner, so just west of that. If I remember correctly, if I'm picturing it right, there's some pretty steep grades.
Yes.
The land is a little steep in there, so I'm sure they'll have plenty of grading to do. But 12 commercial development lots and 20 acres of apartments. So that area is filling in nicely. We've got more development coming to Heartwood Preserve. Heartwood Preserve is the 500-acre development that is on the old Boys Town West Farm and the old DeMarco Farm. It is west of 144th Street, starts at Dodge and goes south to about Pine, I think it is, several blocks south of Pacific.
And it goes right past and surrounds Miller North.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so what we're talking about now would be south of Miller North. So the southwest corner of 144th and Pacific. At that point in that area, developers are seeking approval to build another part of Heartwood Preserve. There would be 2 medical office buildings totaling 180,000 square feet, as well as 6 standalone retail buildings, a 5,500 square foot restaurant, and a 2-story, 120,000 square foot mixed-use building that would have ground floor retail, a parking garage, and multifamily units on the second floor. So this is already a huge development area, Trenton. It's about ready to become more huge. And this would be very close to the Applied Underwriters headquarters that is still under construction. By the way, sometimes people ask us,
all the time.
Is that project still go? Yes, it is. It's my understanding that it is so complicated and so beautiful and so top notch that it's just taking forever. I just talked to someone this week about it, and
they are 5 years or something.
Yeah, and part of that was they
shifted it with COVID.
Yeah, they completely changed a lot, and they had to reevaluate once the pandemic hit. So,
and when you have 1,100 parking stalls all underground, that's different.
So at any rate, this project on the southwest corner of 144th and Pacific, Heartwood Preserve, keeps growing and growing.
And what's interesting about that southwest corner is there's a big meandering sidewalk and kind of a ravine, if you will. And then it kind of goes up. There'll be a lot of grading there as well.
Oh, yeah. It's
and the DeMarco's house is, I don't know if they've taken that down yet.
They did take that down
recently. They finally taken it down. That thing stayed out forever. Part of the deal was, I think, that they could stay in that house like to the very end, which they probably did.
And when the scrapers are right outside your back window, it might be time.
After you remove your driveway.
St. Cecilia Cathedral is embarking on a campaign to construct an outdoor plaza and memorial garden. It's an $8.2 million project. And actually, it fulfills the original vision of the renowned architect and designer Thomas Kimball, who died in 1934 and did not live to see the cathedral's completion. So fundraising is underway, and construction will hopefully begin this summer.
I wonder what the budget was for the original building.
A lot less than $8.2 million, I can guarantee you that. All right, big story coming out of the University of Nebraska. The system, which is the 4 campuses, UNL, UNO, UNK, and UNMC, released the results of an economic impact study. Went on for several months, very in-depth, very thorough. Turns out the NU system generates $6.4 billion annually and supports 1 in every 20 Nebraska jobs. The university produces 11,000 graduates each year, with 1 in 7 working-age Nebraskans holding a degree from one of the 4 campuses. Now, let's talk a little specifically about this because we have 2 of the 4 campuses here in Omaha. I also want to say that the NU system is responsible for 52,000 jobs. So it's a big, big part of what we do around here. On a per-campus basis, University of Nebraska-Lincoln, the flagship campus, my alma mater, $3.1 billion impact. UNO, a $1 billion impact. UN Kearney, a $447 million impact. And now let's look at UNMC. If you look at just UNMC, the university, $1.6 billion, which is very impressive and very significant. However, UNMC is interwoven and tightly connected to Nebraska Medicine. Nebraska Medicine by itself has a $5.5 billion economic impact. Put UNMC and its clinical partner Nebraska Medicine together, and we're talking about here in Omaha a $7.1 billion impact on top of the billion that comes from UNO.
And $1 billion impact on the city of Omaha, the state of Nebraska.
Just its impact, which would primarily be the state of Nebraska.
Okay. Did they get any in-depth as far as like the graduates that stay in Nebraska versus they leave?
Somewhat, because the study was pretty lengthy, and it's all available online. But yeah, we do export a lot of our graduates, but on the other hand, too, the thing we have to keep in mind, we pull in so many people.
A lot of researchers.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this to you recently, but about 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with a young guy who does marketing for a company. They were interested in advertising on one of our Grow Omaha platforms, and I met him for coffee. And sharp guy, good guy. He was from Illinois, and he had just graduated from Lincoln, University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And was talking to him. I said, "Hey, how'd the Illinois guy end up at UNL?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was actually cheaper for me to pay out-of-state tuition at UNL than it was at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana.
In-state tuition.
Yeah, and he's like, I wanted to like maybe try something new, so I decided to come out here. Great experience, and now he's living in Omaha. He stayed here, and he goes, oh, by the way, my girlfriend is from Minnesota. Same story. Came here because it was a better deal than going to the U in Minneapolis, and now she's staying in Omaha. So there's an example of the university bringing in a lot of talent that sticks around, even though we are known for exporting some of our homegrown talent.
Somebody said that if you're from Nebraska or Kansas, they have reciprocal agreements for in-state tuition for like KU.
Who
and
was
Nebraska.
this somebody?
Well, I don't know if it's factual, so don't tell your child that, and don't take that to the bank. So do your own research, but I'd be surprised.
I know they have certain things with certain places. I mean, UNO, not too terribly
Maybe it's
long
based
ago.
on grade point or something like that.
Yeah, didn't UNO do a thing terribly?
Says the
not too
guy who
terribly
has
long
no
ago?
kids.
With Western Iowa or something like that. But yeah, there are various types of arrangements that they have that will give certain people good deals inside other universities or other states' universities.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.